Okay, so what we've got here is a 13 square failed roofing system. Somebody keeps adding cement here, but this is not the problem. The problem is the entire roof was done poorly. Flashing split everywhere. Let me see if I can show you up close, bird's eye view. So water comes, it just runs right behind there. Water comes, runs right behind there. This isn't even sealed down for the majority of this. Now somebody's tried to add flashing, but all the major points are wide open. Look at this, there's my foot for comparison. And you can see for yourself, you don't have to be a roofer, but all these areas are open. Chimney, wide open. The flashing is failed, it's separated entirely. Water's able to run right in there. Let me show you down here. There's no weld system here. This is open. This should have been closed. This is open. So the flashing has failed everywhere. This rubber is on backwards. The low slope should have been on. This should overlap it. But because it doesn't, you're able to just catch water. See how it's still moist under there? Now, not to mention the other areas, completely open. Sorry to say, somebody's just been adding cement, but without doing it properly. You're supposed to run the rubber from edge to edge and then put new metal capping over it, then flashing. If you don't, this is what happens. It separates over time. These units are wrong. This needs to be brought up. This is a guaranteed leak. So this needs to be brought up and put on anti-vibration pads and then put back down on top of rubber roof. Here's the area that receives all the water from this side of the roof, and there's no welds here. In order for a rubber roof to be, if you get your finger under it, you can definitely get water under it. Again, just reflashing this area doesn't stop water from coming in. You can come around these perimeters. The perforation points there, the chimney. This sheet is upside down and installed incorrectly. The lap is supposed to be up top. So this looks like it was done with good intentions, but with no roofing experience whatsoever. There's no consistent weld. The flashings are open because they weren't done correctly. The entire perimeter is up. There's too much heat here, so the material is burned through. It's just an entry point for precipitation. Here, again, somebody's tried to put roofing cement, but installing roofing cement is not a substitute for installing a roof well. You have all these. This is just burned through entirely. This sheet can be lifted up entirely. This is burned through entirely. Burned through, not welded, burned through. And again, just adding the roofing cement does not create a watertight system. You need some cement down there as well, but this, my son has pointed out, look, the flashings, these were done incorrectly. These terracotta should have been pulled up, you run the rubber underneath, and you put the terracotta down on top of. You don't have to be a roofer to see that this is wrong. You should not be able to get your hand up underneath there. You should not be able to put your hand behind the flashings. I've got fat hands. None of this is done correctly. This was just, he didn't go, same thing. This unit has to be brought up and off. It's a shame to have a property this size with the potential revenue to not take care of it. There's no reason to risk mold or decking damage simply because the roof is not installed correctly. This should be impossible. There should be welds all along here, and there's not. This was overburnt. Here, look at this. This is a hole scalded through the roof. The fact that you're just now seeing water is probably a testimony to the old school installation that was on properties like this. I'm sorry to say, but you need a new rubber roofing system. This is 13. I'll take a peek and zoom in with this. Look at this. This is the most important area. It's called the gutter area. And this should have been sloped with a piece or two of plywood to run the water that way towards the box. It's obviously sitting here, which is dangerous when there's no welds, because you run the risk. This is called a weld. Manufacturer recommendations, they're an ½ inch to an inch. But there is not a roofer in the city that would pass this roof or tell you you're okay with the here or there repair. The whole thing is done wrong. It's done poorly. It's separated everywhere that's important. It's burnt through. So there's so many different areas where roofing material is missing entirely. And then, of course, you have the attempted repairs would just make a problem, because then it actually traps water, not to mention the fact that it was installed incorrectly. This looks like somebody burned a hole and then put a patch here, but without sealing it, it's destined to fail. And again, the units, this never works out because these units vibrate. And what they do is they separate from the seams. This has to be lifted up 2 inches, put on anti-vibration pads, and then put back down on a new rubber roofing system. Because this is a tragedy for this size property. This is definitely one of those properties. It's such a huge size. You've got Central as well. You're better off throwing a new roof on it and taking care of it forever while it brings you revenue, rather than wind up, whoever this was, their first day roofing ever, doing subpar work. This was not a roofer who did this job. This was somebody, maybe a handyman or something, somebody's uncle with good intentions. This area needs reflashing, but does not look outright terrible. But this should never happen, especially in a key area like the drainage area. This whole thing is done wrong.